Hi there everyone, it's currently the 14th going into the 15th of May 2013. We're continuing to watch Cyclone Mahasen. I'll spin out here in the Bay of Bengal. The bulk of this activity you're seeing here on the infrared imagery, actually these are all the high clouds, and it's farther off towards the west in the center of circulation. The center of circulation is actually over here towards the east. And what we are seeing is some strong vertical wind shear coming in on the system, so it's pushing it off there towards the west right now, but it's having far-reaching effects. High waves caused some refugees on a boat here near the coastline to crash in the rocks. And, well, unfortunately, grim news coming out of just the coast of Burma there today, where there's a possibility of upwards of 100 to some reports indicating 200 people lost in the waters there. So this is unconfirmed at this time. Hopefully many of those did get ashore, but many reports are saying that those people on the boat are feared dead. Hi there everyone, Rob here with today's Cyclone Mahasen update. It is currently the 14th going into the 15th of May 2013. Tropical Cyclone Mahasen off here in the Bay of Bengal towards the east of India, but it is having far-reaching effects. You can see some of this thunderstorm activity due to the outflow just off the coast of Myanmar, and well, a very grim news day indeed, as death tolls already coming from this weak cyclonic storm have been reported off the coastline here in Myanmar and also over towards Sri Lanka. But the big story is due to a boat capsizing with possibly 100 to 200 people on board. One of these smaller, likely flimsy boat, high waves caused it to crash into some rocks near coastal areas there. So nearly 140,000 people in these refugee camps where they were evacuating from. So this is actually a picture of one of them right near these coastal plains, and as the storm progresses, then it's going to be playing a major humanitarian factor on where it's going to be affecting possible storm surge flooding, and these buildings just cannot, if you call them buildings, withstand a cyclone of any intensity. At this time though, we're still getting information on the developments coming off the coastline of Burma here with that capsized boat. Hopefully the number being told right now, it does not become confirmed, and many of those people did get ashore, but at least according to local sources of news there, that is not the case. Also in Sri Lanka, 7 deaths reported due to landslides and high winds here. Now the roughest weather is due to the outflow there in Burma and also along the east coast of India. Actually, let's talk about this system right now, because center of circulation here just on the eastern edge of this big flare-up of convective activity, because we are seeing some, well, vertical wind shear coming in from the east here. And if we pull up the shear chart, you can see it actually. Upwards of 20 knots of shear, those winds blowing in from the east in the upper levels, and that is what's causing a lot of this convective activity to pull off there towards the west. Actually, let's show you an image from earlier on in the day, and the storm is what I call naked. And you can really see this only on a visible imagery because infrared just picks up those cold high cloud tops, but the visible peers down into the lower levels. And actually, on this imagery, well, Cyclone Mahasen actually looks like a fairly organized system, but remember, these are just cumulus or towering cumulus clouds. These are the cumulonimbus, the thunderstorm activity off here towards the west. So really, this is with its pants down. All the big clouds are pushed off there towards the east. That low-level inflow, which is there, definitely there, even though this looks fairly disorganized, there is that low-level inflow wrapping around the center of circulation here. And, well, going through the next 24 hours, it is expected to move into this area with lower wind shear, and intensity is expected to climb while doing so, pushing off here towards the north, then the north-northeast, making landfall there into Bangladesh, likely just towards the west of Chittagong, here into the Ganges River Basin, which it's an area known for having devastating cyclones. We actually put this on our Facebook earlier, some information about this, but Cyclone Bahola in 1970 caused between 300,000 and 500,000 deaths. That is a population of a large city. And even just in 2008, 140,000 deaths there in Burma, 138,000 people hit Bangladesh in 1991. I know some of the people following the website here have said that they lived through that tragic event. So with that said, the storm, or this area, is used to storms, and this one potentially is going to be posing that threat. Now, thankfully, in recent years, some newer shelters have been put But this is the most recent track from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center found at the Tropical Information Center at our webpage here, showing that track off towards the north-northeast, moving into the Ganges River Delta, and actually moving right over the city there, Chittagong. So this would be definitely a very tragic scenario if we did have these winds push onshore, especially over here towards western portions of Burma, where you have all those low-lying areas with those refugee camps. Plus, the water pushes up the river. This river is very, very low-lying and very susceptible to river flooding, and if we've seen the past 7 days, according to NASA, there has been an exceptional amount of rainfall here, upwards of 3 to 4, even in some areas 500 millimeters there into eastern India. So the ground is already saturated, and like we've been talking for the last several days, if the storm does track there on that direction right into the river delta, it is going to be bringing this heavy rainfall. Even some of the models that are not expecting this to maintain that strong cyclone intensity, the European, for example, still keep the storm with, well, the heavy rainfall. Let's take a look at the European here. This is going through Wednesday, and it enters that area of low vertical wind shear, and you see a little bit of intensification, but then it pulls back, and it goes back into an area, once again, with higher vertical wind shear. Actually, this is by Wednesday or Thursday morning. Pull up the shear chart. You can see it kind of wrapping into this here on the northern periphery and also off there towards the south. So it gets a little disorganized. Also, we have this drier inflow coming into it. But if we pull back to the MSL, it's still some heavy precipitation hitting these areas that have been hit quite hard as it pushes on shore. And this is definitely going to be a major threat. And let's actually look at the winds here by Thursday around noontime here in Burma. And you can see these winds pushing on shore around 30 to 35 knots. So about the equivalent of a weak tropical storm in the western Pacific, or actually into the Atlantic basin as well, the center of circulation right here. I really like using the European model, one of the highest resolution of the global model, but it would be foolish just to use one model because the GFS actually keeping it at a stronger intensity, and that is one thing that the models have been different on. Some keeping them stronger, some keeping them weaker. GFS does not take into account some vertical wind shear as it pushes off there towards the north. Actually, there's an upper level trough diving through that is pulling towards the north, and that enhances it according to the GFS, and it pulls it onshore there towards the west of Chittagong here into the Ganges River Delta. And this would be a very bad scenario because this would bring storm surge winds upwards of, well, that's severe cyclonic storm, or about almost equivalent of a weak typhoon pushing onshore with the heavy rainfall if we look at the MSL. At the same time here, this actually shows about 200 millimeters within a 6-hour period in a few areas here, and I would not be surprised if upwards of 500 millimeters over the course of the 24-hour period if this scenario was to unfold. Now, what I don't think it's going to push as far there towards the west. I think a landfall rate in this area is more likely. Actually, let's remove the model so you can see kind of where exactly I'm thinking about here. Just towards the west of Chittagong here into Bangladesh are my thoughts. Right into this area. The highest winds over here, but heavy rainfall actually off here towards the west due to that wind shear coming in from the east. So they're still going to be seeing the heavy rainfall near the coastal areas, but really this is going to be the bulk of it, kind of wrapping around like that. But here you're going to see the coastal flooding. So a very complex system to say the least, because there's a lot of stuff going into it at this time. It's not symmetrical, it's asymmetrical. A lot of the winds are pushing it off there towards the west. Expecting that intensification though. Sea surface temperatures here are very warm, around 30 to 34 degrees in some areas. So that is allowing for more fuel to enter into the storm system, and plus that outflow off towards the north associated with that trough digging in from the north right now. That is just bringing all this precipitation already over Burma. So even though when this makes landfall, you're going to see that precip. Well, out ahead of it, you're still seeing that heavy rainfall as well. So there's the risk of flooding before the storm even gets there. As we've seen in Sri Lanka, it stayed off the coast, had 7 reports of deaths, and sadly, the 200 reports of people missing, or possibly 200 people report people missing there off the coast of Burma. But that is all for right now, everybody. I will end with the track from the Indian Meteorological Department, actually showing a little bit farther east than my thoughts. But if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please post them in the comment box below. Always remember, this is the official track on your screen. I am not an official agency by any means, so always refer to them. If you're being evacuated or towed by anybody, just take the proper precautions, because very dangerous storm system, even though it is at a weak intensity, it's just the geography and the nature of the region. So stay safe out there, though, everybody, and have a great day. Bye.